Hey guys, Kenny the Trend here, and just want to talk about something that's been on my nerve for about 5 years, and I've only realized how inconsiderate a lot of these people are. And it's a very sensitive topic to be talking about, but I'm gonna be talking about what happened to Chris Benoit, Nancy Benoit, and Daniel Benoit. And it's just basically a video to clear up some things, and to just try to not be as much of a harsh douchebag, I guess, to what happened, whatever happened. I don't want to be one of those guys who are like conspiracists and stuff like that, but when you think about it, people really don't consider that there was more than just, let's say, steroids, even though he wasn't even on steroids, because they found out in the autopsy that, he didn't have any steroids in his system. All they found was a syringe next to his body, and they found a bunch of beer cans as well that were empty. And the thing is, if he died recent, and everything like that, at the time they, took his body and all, if he did drink all those beer cans, why didn't they find alcohol in the system either? They didn't find steroids in the house. They didn't find steroids, especially in his body. So, whenever someone says Roid Rage was what happened, it's because of fucking Fox News. I'm just sniping them out right now because they really fucked up the image for Benoit. Because I swear, I just feel like they wanted to capitalize on the story as soon as possible. So they say that since there was a syringe there, and I know at the time we didn't know, but they just automatically blame steroids and say that it's Roid Rage. And it's just, and it really makes me mad, because it's the fact that he didn't take steroids, at least at that point of his career, because maybe he used to, but everyone in the 90s it wasn't that uncommon for people in the locker room to not take steroids, but not everyone did it. Like Rey Mysterio back in the day, he didn't take steroids in WCW, but a lot of the guys did. So, but one thing to make clear of, Chris Benoit really cared about his family. And what I mean by that is, everyone who's ever, doesn't matter if it was close friends, if it was just co-workers he was talking to, or they would go out with each other, to, let's say, like Disney World or something like that. And they said that he loved his kids so much that he treasured them. Like, he was proud of all of his kids. Doesn't matter about his ex-wife or anything. He cared about all of his kids. And when I seen people on YouTube and, I said, yeah, but he was one hell of a wrestler. I commented that down, and then someone commented back snottedly and said, oh, he was one hell of a child strangler too. Which doesn't make sense, because, he didn't strangle his child, first off, if he did strangle. Because I'm not gonna believe whatever the media says. Not because I'm one of those type of people who can't accept the fact that he died. I just can't accept the fact that people are so inconsiderate about others' lives, because I'm going to be a bit personal here, and I'm going to give you a reason why I wanted to make this video today especially. My mother, who was the closest person I was to, my mother, passed away on Thanksgiving in 2017. And you see, she had cancer, but we got rid of it. She got rid of it. And you see, she was sent to the hospital when I found her downstairs unconscious. And she was unresponsive, and she just, it was on November 1st, and then, you know, we went to the hospital to visit her, and I've only seen her once in the hospital, somewhat talking, but she didn't seem like she was in the right state of mind. She felt like she was somewhat, drunk or something. Because I didn't see her get drunk often. I only saw her get drunk twice ever in the 14 years I knew her. But she was good about not getting, irresponsible, I guess, with her drinking. Because the reason why she got cancer in the first place was because of her cigarette problem. But, it's like we still don't know what caused her to die because you see, her kidney failed apparently, and her stomach was apparently crumpled up like a piece of paper, and it just really makes me just wonder what happened, and I just can't. And it's like how people, say that Benoit, they the reason why I think media and people want to have a explanation for everything, like how media wanted to say, oh, it was Roid Rage that did it. It's like they wanted an explanation for it and blame it on something. But then when we found out that he had a shit ton of concussions and that his brain was basically just like gray chocolate pudding, like that's how they described his brain, was looking like that, and that it functioned like an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient. It's like people just wanted to blame WWE for not like caring enough about his concussions and not being as up to date with him. But I don't blame WWE, but because they're not a sport, because sports, they have concussion tests and stuff like that. But for a while, baseball, basketball, whatever it is, especially football, really does, the only reason why there has been concussion tests and everything was because of how they always ran into each other and stuff like that. And I'm not big base or just overall not a fan of sports in general. I find them kind of dumb when you think about it, like two teams going for a little object like a puck, or although hockey is awesome, I'll admit, or like throwing this weird shaped thing to run across like a bunch of yards just to get points and somehow make shit zillion dollars. But it's like I don't I know why people like sports, and I completely understand it. It's just the reason why I like pro wrestling is just that there's different rules to everything a lot of times, and there's different moves. They're not too limited with what they can do in the ring. So it's like that's the thing that's interesting about pro wrestling, is that most matches, especially nowadays in this day and age, a wrestling match isn't slow paced. It doesn't take 3 hours to complete. Maybe a full show, but they'll have 8 matches by then, at least, on the card that, happens. But, that's the reason why I liked pro wrestling for a while. And the fact that Chris Benoit really changed wrestling landscape, not because of his death, but because of just his in-ring ability and how he worked with people. He was just one of the best, and you can't deny that. That's one thing that people need to get straight, is that just because he did this one event doesn't mean you completely close out anything he has done, his hard-earned work, and that oh, he killed a kid, oh, like, I know this sounds a bit humane, but inhumane, but it's just, when people talk about kids, it just doesn't feel like they care about anything else, because it just, I get kids are, and especially for Daniel, because he didn't have a chance at life for long, and it's very unfortunate. whatever happened that night. But I can't judge a man if whoever is judging does a half-ass job, because if he didn't have steroids in his system, if he didn't have alcohol in his system, the next and the most universal thing that people say is that he was fucked up in the brain. But then I've commented on people on videos, and then they'll be like, this he doesn't matter if he had concussions and stuff. You don't do that to a kid. And then I'll be commenting like, well, concussions, for getting hit in the head a lot and getting dropped on it. It's like, you change, okay? You change, okay, sister? But then they'll be like, well, that's not enough of an excuse to excuse him for what he done. I'm just trying to put some comedic value in this video, because I realize I haven't done enough cuts in this video yet, have I? Yes. But it's just the fact that I don't know how my mother died. All I know is that they found weed downstairs and that she had some beer bottles. But it's like people can see that on paper and say, oh, she was a drunkie, or oh, she was a terrible mother because she took drugs or some shit. Like, she wasn't a bad mother for me. She wasn't. She was great. She was the one person that actually knew how I worked, and was the one person I felt comfortable talking to anytime, any day. And it's just the fact that, I don't know how she died, even though I was right above her and she was downstairs. You can't judge someone if you weren't there. All you can do is guess, and that's what the police officers did. They guessed that he killed his family because of the supposed, putting Bibles against all their bodies, and how Nancy was strangled, and how Daniel was, what do you call that? Deprived of oxygen, I guess, suffocated, and how like Benoit had a broken neck and was hanging. But the thing is, he wasn't hanging, he was drooping against the machines. But at the same time, you can still hang yourself that way. But the fact that he didn't have alcohol in his system, he didn't have any steroids in his system, or they didn't find steroids in the house either. And one other thing that is out of place is that Chavo Guerrero got a text from him on a Sunday when he apparently died on Saturday. But then at the same time, it was 2007, so text messaging, could have been delayed, especially when they were far apart, But the thing is, it's just that the cops never found the phone. And I'm not like, I don't get this information from like people that, are fanboys or something, or, they don't want to believe what happened or whatever. But like, I'm not even a big Chris Benoit fan. I've only been a wrestling fan ever since late 2014, so for like 5 years. And the fact that now I have a personal event that happened to me, to my mother, and the fact that, I listened to all these stories about how Benoit was depressed about Eddie Guerrero dying, or Big Boss Man, or any of his mentors who kept dying just a couple years before he eventually met his demise. So it just makes me mad that people call him a cold-blooded killer, or like, child killer, or whatever the fuck they say. And it just, I just want to make one thing clear, that life isn't simple, and that there wasn't one thing that happened that night. And I don't mean one thing as in, that he did kill his family, but there was multiple things linked to it. No, I'm saying no matter what happened that night, it wasn't simple. It was anything but simple. And it just, I know I'm not the most professional YouTuber out there, but, and I'm still only a kid. I'm 15. But the thing is, I'm only 15 and I lost my mother at 14, while I never had a dad who died at my age of 3. So it's just, and if you're wondering, I'm living with my aunt and uncle now, so, and my 2 cousins, so that's where I'm at right now, is downstairs in my room. But the message I'm trying to say is that no matter what happened, Benoit, if he was in a right state of mind, he would have never done it. He really would have never done it. So, because especially since the fact that wrestlers, even if they weren't like big friends of Benoit, would trust their kids with their life with Benoit. And I'm not joking. They would. So, the fact that people think that it's just that simple of a story, it's never simple in life. Simple in some stories, but not all. And that's just the lesson that people want him to be in the Hall of Fame. And I get that, because he's that good. He was that good. The fact that he changed the wrestling landscape forever really made him stand out from others. But after how media has spread it out, how or what he did, if he even did it, really ruined his image. And the only thing I think we could change as wrestling fans in general is that maybe we can convince WWE or Vince himself to at least have his matches on the network, or to do something smaller, like, actually showing Randy Orton winning the World Championship at SummerSlam 2004, or even more important, the main event of WrestleMania 20, which was the triple threat match that Benoit had. So, and won the world title with Eddie Guerrero, who won the WWE Championship earlier. So, the main thing I'm saying, don't forget Benoit. You never should forget Benoit. Never matter what he did, what happened, just don't forget him. Don't forget Nancy or Daniel as well, or anyone who has passed away that were close to Benoit as well. Just think outside the box, and don't listen to what media always has to say, because media is not always right, and you can only have your only your opinions or thoughts about what happened that night. But just know this, not any theory, because the theory of Kevin Sullivan killing the Benoit family is just stupid. Maybe his ex-wife killing his family and him is plausible, but, or just, let's just say this, the idea of someone breaking in, framing Benoit to look like the killer, is very high, since they ended the case very early in the, like I said, the syringe and the empty beer cans next to him, even though they didn't find any alcohol or they didn't find any steroids anywhere. So, and more importantly, his cell phone. So, just know that there's a possibility that something else has happened that night. But if he really did kill his family and himself, don't say he deserves to go to hell for it, because he was going through so much at the time. Concussions and blows to his head really messed him up as well, with the depression added on top of the deaths of his former buddies, and the fact that, just everything. just everything about it. So just think next time about Benoit as being the best wrestler or best technical wrestler to ever be on this foot of the planet, because if you think only inside the box, then you're just not going anywhere in life.